Hello everyone and welcome back to Hannah's Happy Home. So in today's video we are going to be giving our storage room a complete makeover. This storage room is right beside of our carport and here I'm giving you a look at the before. Basically we just needed more storage in here. We want to add some big deep shelves on either wall so that we can have somewhere to stack all of this stuff because it was just getting out of control in here. On the one side of the room you couldn't even walk in the door, as you can see over there, and I also gave you an up-close shot of the wall. The walls had so many nail holes in them, they weren't all painted and they were just really beat up. So once we have everything out of the storage room, we want to clean up those walls, get them all painted, and then build some floor-to-ceiling shelves on either side of the room, and then we can go through everything and get it better organized back in this room on the shelves and on the wall. We got the whole one side of the storage room cleared out and then I quickly swept the floor. There was a lot of spilled dog food on the floor, so I'm going to be getting a metal bin with a lid to keep the dog food in. And then Jalen started removing a few of these small shelves. They were made out of MDF and they were really small. You couldn't fit much on them. And on either side here we wanted to do those big deep shelves that went all the way up to the ceiling. We did leave the small shelves up on like the hallway part of the room up high so that we could store stuff up there, but for on either side we wanted that just completely clear so that we could paint and then add some bigger shelves. And we did keep those little shelves. If Jalen can't use them out in his shop, then we'll just give them to someone else so that they don't go to waste. Now we're clearing out the other side of the storage room and it's embarrassing just how junky this room looked, but you know what, that's just real life. We keep really busy with a lot of home renovations, so sometimes stuff can just get stacked in here. We were trying to go through things as we took them out of the storage room, so we had a keep pile, which is the biggest pile over here to the left, and then we had a sell and donate pile, and honestly we didn't really sell and donate that much. Pretty much everything we wanted to keep. It just all needed to be better organized in this room. There was so many random screws and hooks in the wall everywhere, so we wanted to take all of those out. We also took all of the pegboard off the wall. The pegboard was just kind of randomly put on the wall. We also wanted to do the big shelves over here, so we ended up moving the pegboard over to this wall right here in this hallway area, and that just made a lot more sense, and we were able to just hang stuff right there instead of having things randomly hung on different parts of the wall. Okay, we have officially gone through everything and we have it all stacked out here on the carport, and once it was all out here in a pile, we just stood out here and looked around and were like, how in the world did all of this fit in this room? There is so much stuff. But at the end of this video, once we get it all organized on the shelves, there's actually a lot of free space in the room and it seems fairly empty. So it was surprising how much space we freed up in this room just by doing the big shelves on either end of the room. So here is what it looks like in here once it's empty. You can see that the walls desperately needed patched. I'm not really sure if you can tell just how bad on camera, but they also needed painted as well. It looked like they ran out of paint at certain spots in the room. They just didn't paint. So we are going to patch all of the holes in the walls as best as we can and then get started with the painting. I patched the holes on half the room and then Jalen took over for the other half of the room. There was just so many holes to patch in the wall. You can't tell on camera, but just even having the holes patched, the walls were already starting to look a lot better just because they were so beat up and covered in holes. But once we started to get paint on them, then they really started to transform. And this concrete floor is very old, it's stained, it's got paint on it and different things like that, but we just decided to leave it. It's just a storage room. We're going to be walking in here with boots. We're keeping paint buckets in here. So the floor is going to get beat up even more over time. So there was no reason to try and paint it with a concrete paint or anything. That would just make it harder to maintain. So we just left it the way that it was. For this room, I just wanted to use up paint that I already had, so I had this quarter bucket of white paint left over, and then I had a lot of sample cans of paint left over, so I just dumped a bunch of those in that white paint just to make a gray beige color, and then I let Jalen finish that up for me so I didn't smell the paint for too long. He added a little bit more of a can of white paint in there, and then he stirred all of that for me. This paint color that I mixed up actually turned out to be the perfect gray beige color and just really transformed these walls. Me and Jalen would take turns rolling these walls. I didn't want to be painting for too long, but I still wanted to be able to help out with the painting. I'm almost into my second trimester, but I'm still trying to be a little bit careful, but honestly, you couldn't smell the paint at all in this room because we had the windows open, we had both of the doors open, so there was a breeze blowing through here and it was just fine. But I did only paint for a little bit here and then we swapped and I went outside for a little while. once we finished the first coat, we just had to do a quick second coat, and Jalen went around with the paintbrush to get around the ceiling and around the cabinet and the shelves and all of that. And I had thought about painting these cabinets right here just so that we could totally transform this room. But honestly, I just get tired really easily lately, and after working 2 days on this room, I looked at those cabinets and I was like, you know what, it's just a storage room. They look perfectly fine. We'll just leave them the oak color. They are a little bit beat up, but they're great for storing paint and brushes, different things like that in. The only thing that we had to buy for this project was 3 sheets of plywood, but if you've shopped for wood lately, then you know that that was a little bit pricey, but we bought it from a little local store, so at least we were able to support them. But it's definitely not the time to be shopping for wood, but thankfully we do have a little pile of scrap wood. Not little, it's pretty big, inside of our shop and also outside as well. So Jalen was able to just use wood that we already had on hand for all of the braces for the shelf, and then he just put the plywood on top of that. He just did 3 shelves here, but we're able to store a ton on them because they're so big. And the bottom one he made up high enough that we could stack 2 of our storage containers on top of each other to store underneath of there. And we weren't going for anything fancy with these shelves. They're just practical shelves that we can store a lot on. Like I said earlier, this is just a storage room, so we're not getting fancy in here. We're just trying to make it practical and organized and just freshen it up a little bit. Okay, so now Jalen is building the shelves on the other side of the room. The first thing he would do was to cut all of his brace pieces, and then he would measure and mark on the walls where he wanted all of the shelves to go, and then he took the stud finder around the walls, marked where all the studs were, and then attached all of the braces to the walls, and then he went out and cut his plywood to size and attached that to the braces. And then he added a board in the front to help brace the middle of the shelves, and they turned out awesome. They're just great practical shelves to store a lot of stuff in here. We also got this big metal can at the little hardware store, and I got this to put the dog food bag in, and then I also stuck my little bag of birdseed in there as well. I need to get a smaller can for the birdseed that I can put beside of there, but now we are stacking all of our big paint buckets in here, and the height of this bottom shelf was just the perfect height to stack these paint buckets two on top of each other, and we were surprised just how much we could fit under these shelves and on them. So much storage, it's just awesome. We took one of those pegboards that was over on the other wall and we hung it right here to put things like extension cords, bungee cords, ratchet straps, different things like that. That was pretty much the only items that needed to be hung on the wall. So just having a little area right here where those things get hung, instead of having random hooks and different things on the wall for those things, they can all just stay in this area. Then we started bringing everything back inside and organizing it on the shelves. Okay, so there you got to see a before and after of that side of the room, and now here is a before and after of this side of the room. It's a pretty dramatic transformation. Use the bottom cabinet to store all of our paints, painting products, stains, everything like that. We've been renovating this house for over a year now, so we have collected a lot of things like that, so we need a big place to store them. Originally, I wanted to sand down this countertop and paint it, but Jalen said because there's so many deep gouges in it, he doesn't think that I will be able to sand it down good enough to paint it, so for now, we're just gonna leave it the way it is. It's pretty beat up, but maybe someday we can figure out a way to paint this countertop. So that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing us transform our storage room, and hopefully it was motivating for you. We will see you in a couple days with a brand new video. Bye.